Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
History is often a tale of resistance and struggle, where the oppressed fight against their chains with a fire that refuses to be extinguished. Two such defining moments in American history, the Stono Rebellion of 1739 and the Colfax Massacre of 1873, highlight the courage and sacrifices of Black natives in the ongoing struggle for freedom. One took place in the era of slavery, where the enslaved sought to break their bonds through an armed uprising. The other occurred during Reconstruction, when Black Americans fought for their rights amid the violent backlash of white supremacy. Though separated by more than a century, these events are bound by a common thread: the fight for liberation, justice, and dignity. The Stono Rebellion, one of the earliest recorded slave revolts in British North America, erupted in South Carolina on September 9, 1739. Enslaved Africans, many of them from the Kingdom of Congo, initiated the uprising along the Stono River near Charleston. What made this rebellion particularly unique was the role of Black natives, those with African heritage who had already lived in the Americas for generations, and those who had recently arrived from African societies with military training and organizational skills. South Carolina was a powder keg of oppression and resistance. The enslaved population outnumbered the white settlers, and brutal slave codes had been implemented to control them. The Black natives who participated in the rebellion were largely influenced by their African origins. Many were Congolese warriors who had been taken from a region with strong Catholic influence due to Portuguese colonization. It is believed that some rebels spoke Portuguese and had been baptized as Catholics before their enslavement. Their leader, Jimmy, also known as Cato, was said to have military experience, which allowed him to organize the uprising with discipline and strategy. On the morning of September 9th, the rebels, armed with stolen weapons and fueled by a desperate longing for freedom, launched their attack. They began by raiding a store near the Stono River, killing the white shopkeepers, and seizing guns and gunpowder. As they marched southward, they called for other enslaved people to join them. Their destination was Spanish Florida, where freedom awaited, as Spanish authorities had promised sanctuary to any enslaved Africans who could escape British territories. The movement gained momentum, with nearly 100 enslaved individuals joining the ranks. The Black natives in the rebellion exhibited strategic military tactics, burning plantations and eliminating enslavers along their route. However, their hope for freedom was crushed when the South Carolina militia caught up with them near the Edisto River. A brutal battle ensued, leaving dozens of rebels dead, and others were captured and executed. Some managed to escape, but most were hunted down in the following weeks. The aftermath of the rebellion was severe. White authorities implemented even harsher slave codes, prohibiting the education of enslaved people, restricting their movements, and banning the importation of enslaved Africans for a time, fearing that newly arrived Africans, particularly Congolese warriors, would incite further revolts. Despite the brutal suppression, the Stono Rebellion remained a symbol of resistance and a testament to the bravery of Black natives in the fight against slavery. If the Stono Rebellion was a fight against slavery, the Colfax Massacre was a battle for the right to live as free men and citizens. After the Civil War, Reconstruction aimed to integrate formerly enslaved people into American society as equal citizens. However, white supremacists, particularly in the South, fiercely resisted Black political participation and self-governance. Nowhere was this more evident than in Colfax, Louisiana. The massacre occurred on April 13, 1873, as part of a violent struggle over political power between white Democrats and Black Republicans. The contested Louisiana governor's election in 1872 had resulted in tensions escalating between the two factions. With the federal government supporting Reconstruction policies, Black citizens had begun voting in large numbers, securing positions in local governments. In Grant Parish, where Colfax was located, Black residents controlled the local government and courthouse, which became a symbol of their newly gained political power. As white supremacists, led by former Confederate soldiers and members of the Ku Klux Klan, sought to overthrow Reconstruction, they turned to violence. On Easter Sunday, armed white militias descended upon Colfax, seeking to reclaim power. Black citizens, determined to defend their rights, took refuge in the courthouse, preparing for an attack. The assault was brutal and relentless. The white mob, heavily armed and outnumbering the black defenders, laid siege to the courthouse. After hours of fighting, they set the building ablaze, forcing those inside to flee. As they attempted to escape, they were gunned down. Those who surrendered were summarily executed. By the time the bloodshed ended, as many as 150 black men lay dead, making it one of the deadliest instances of racial violence during Reconstruction. The federal government initially took action, charging some of the white perpetrators under the Enforcement Acts, which were designed to protect black citizens from racial violence. However, in 1876, the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling in United States versus Cruikshank severely weakened federal authority to prosecute racial crimes, allowing white supremacists to continue their reign of terror without fear of legal consequences. The ruling set a dangerous precedent that further emboldened racial violence in the South. The Stono Rebellion and the Colfax Massacre, though separated by more than a century, share a tragic commonality: the relentless oppression of black people and their unyielding fight for freedom. The black natives who fought in the Stono Rebellion sought to escape the shackles of slavery, just as the black citizens in Colfax fought to maintain the rights they had earned. Both movements were met with brutal suppression, yet their legacies endure as powerful reminders of resistance. These events expose the violent lengths to which white supremacy has gone to maintain control, but they also highlight the resilience of black communities in America. The courage of those who fought at Stono and Colfax should never be forgotten, for their sacrifices laid the groundwork for the continued fight for racial justice and equality.